Aloha to all of you, and mahalo for joining me, the Traveling Bee, for the king tides. What is a king tide? Well, a king tide is a non-scientific term that people often use to describe extremely or exceptionally high tides during a new moon or a full moon when the Earth is closest to the moon. I'm taking a trip from Spouting Horn down the south or the Pu'ipu shoreline to see what effects this is going to have on our shoreline. Currently, we have a high surf warning. The high tide for this evening is 6 p.m. and it could be up to 2 feet of tide water marks coming up, and sometimes you have some roads that are eroding because they are already so close to that coastline that the water will come up and over the road. On this road in particular, there's a couple of spots in which that might actually happen, but it could happen more so on some of the other islands. But let's take a look and see how it affects Kauai. We're at the Spouting Horn area, and these once undersea lava tubes used to spew hot magma, and now they fountain with ocean spray. So, a Perigean spring tide during a new moon has the new moon in between the sun and the earth, which is why the moon is dark. When it's a full moon, that means that the earth is between the sun and the moon. And this is when the gravitational pulls are the strongest, especially if there's some other celestial or astronomical phenomenon going on. This is why the full moon is bright. So you have this moon alignment with the sun during the full moon, and also a moon alignment during the new moon. It's just that the new moon looks dark. Of course, the sun and the moon both affect the gravitational pull of the earth. However, the moon is much more powerful than that of the sun. Here in Hawaii and throughout Polynesia, they were lunar calendar people like many ancient people were. And so this happens about every 29 and a half days. And this is an alignment of the sun, the moon, and the earth during these times. Now, the term used to describe the moon's closest point of approach to the earth is perigee. It's at this point that you're going to have the strongest gravitational pull from the moon. And then within 14 days, you're going to approach the apogee, which is just the opposite. It's the furthest point of approach to the Earth. And this is when the gravitational pull is at its weakest point. Let's hear the crowd's reactions.
What was the big one? It's a big one. Briscus? You missed it! Only 1 an hour.
Yeah, go ahead. Maybe when we came, they didn't have this. It was open, and that's why we went down. There was one that went down to the front of it.
Now that typically happens between 6 to 8 times each year. The new or full moon will coincide closely in time with the perigee. And again, that's the point when the moon is closest to the earth. These are called Perigean spring tides. Now keep in mind that other celestial phenomenon or other things going on, such as the warming of the ocean's temperature, has an effect on whether or not these tides are extremely high at high tide and extremely low during low tide. And sometimes they're a bump or two. We didn't see much action here on Kauai, but we were not highlighted in yellow the most in the state. So there are other places around the state that had probably a little more flooding than, let's say, that I saw here on this date. You'll notice this white piece of coral sticks out as it sits on this black rock. And in traditional days for fishing at nighttime, these coral blocks would help fishermen know where they are and help them down to the shoreline as they would do torchlight spear fishing. And they would use coconut oil on the surface of the ocean's water, which would provide somewhat of a clear view to find fish and lobster and other sea creatures that they would gather. Some of the favorite delicacies that come from the ocean in the traditional Hawaiian diet were such things as limu, which is seaweed, and certain types of seaweed, and also the limpet. The limpet sticks to the black rocks, and they have a gray belly. And then on the lighter colored rocks, you have the limpet with a yellow belly. They are referred to as opihi. And they are shucked off of the rocks with a butter knife. And it's a very dangerous type of fishing method, but it is a beloved treat in the Hawaiian diet. Now we refer to that as pounding opihi. And it is no easy task because the opihi has a strong foot muscle. And once they realize you're trying to pry them off, they stick to the rock even harder. So you always want to bring a partner and know that you need to be aware of the ocean tides, as if they creep up on you, they can knock you off with a rogue wave. So opihi pounding, or opihi picking as it's also referred, is a very highly skilled type of collecting limpets, but mastered here in the Hawaiian Islands. We are now further east down the south coast in front of the Sheraton Kauai at the point. This is a favorite spot for the surfers and boogie boarders and snorkelers alike. And as the sun sets down at the taproot of Lehua Islet, the rum room here at the Sheraton Kauai prepares for its evening torchlight luau. Mahalo to all of you for joining me for this astronomical event. If you enjoyed this presentation of the king tides here on Kauai, how about a thumbs up? And subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And share the aloha of the videos with friends and family. As we say in Hawaiian, until we meet again, ahui ho and aloha.